Asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. It was a cold afternoon in the heart of the city. The wind was biting, and the streets were nearly deserted. At the bus stop, a small girl stood shivering, her coat too thin to protect her from the chill. She clutched a worn backpack tightly, her face pale with the cold, and her stomach growling from hunger. She wasn't waiting for a bus. Not really. She was waiting for something, anything that might bring a little warmth into her life. She had no home to return to, no family to care for her, just the streets and a small, flickering hope that somehow things would get better. Across the street, a sleek, black car pulled to a stop. The man inside it, a millionaire CEO named Daniel, stepped out, his tailored suit sharp against the dim sky. He was used to the life of luxury, to the warmth of five-star hotels and private jets. But today, something was different. As he walked toward the building, his eyes caught sight of the little girl at the bus stop. Her frail figure struck him like a jolt of electricity. He paused, unsure why he felt so compelled to approach her. She looked lost, hopeless, and yet there was something in her eyes that made him feel the weight of his own privilege. Without thinking, he walked toward her, his footsteps soft on the wet pavement. The girl glanced up as he approached, startled by his sudden presence. She tried to step back, wary of the stranger, but he gave her a warm smile and asked, "Are you waiting for the bus?" She nodded slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, sir. Just waiting." Daniel looked at her, his heart sinking. She was so small, so fragile, and yet here she was, alone in the cold. Something about her stirred a feeling deep inside him, a sense of urgency. He asked her, "Where are you headed?" The little girl looked down at her shoes, her fingers nervously twisting around the straps of her backpack. "Nowhere," she said softly. "I don't have anywhere to go." There was a long silence between them. Daniel's thoughts raced. He couldn't just leave her here. But what could he do? He wasn't a social worker, just a man in a suit, rich and detached from the reality this girl faced. But as he stood there, a strange sense of responsibility settled in. "I don't have much," the little girl added, glancing up at him. "But if you need something, I can help." She reached into her bag and pulled out the last of her money, a crumpled $10 bill. "I don't need money," she continued, holding it out to him. "I just need a hug, like the one your daughter would give you." Daniel's heart stopped. The words she spoke hit him harder than anything he had ever experienced. He wasn't a father, but he had a daughter, and he could imagine the kind of love she would give him. And this little girl, with nothing, was offering him what was most precious, her humanity, her warmth, even when she had nothing left. "You don't have to give me anything," Daniel said, his voice soft. "But I think you might need something else." And in that moment, something changed in him. It wasn't the money, the luxury, or the things he had accumulated over his life that mattered. It was this moment, this unexpected meeting with a little girl who had nothing but kindness to offer that would change both of their lives forever. Asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. After their unexpected encounter at the bus stop, Daniel couldn't shake the image of the little girl from his mind. Her words echoed in his head as he went about his day, the $10 bill she had offered him, and most of all, the hug she had asked for. It had been such a small, innocent request, but it left an impact on him that he couldn't explain. That evening, as he sat in his office overlooking the city, the feeling of helplessness crept in. He had everything: money, power, success, but it meant nothing compared to the kind of warmth the little girl had shared with him. It was then that he realized he couldn't just leave her to struggle alone. The next morning, Daniel found himself driving through the city, looking for the bus stop where he had met the girl. He wasn't sure what he would do when he found her, but he knew he couldn't just ignore her. He had to help. After what felt like hours, he arrived at the bus stop. The place looked the same as it had the day before, cold, empty, with only the faint sound of traffic in the distance. He parked his car and stepped out, his eyes scanning the area for any sign of her. Just as he was about to give up and leave, he spotted her. She was sitting on a bench, the same worn backpack resting on her lap, her small body wrapped in the same thin coat. She looked just as she had the day before, alone, vulnerable, yet somehow still holding on to hope. Daniel took a deep breath and walked toward her. She looked up as he approached, her face showing a mixture of surprise and hesitation. "Hi," Daniel said softly, trying to sound non-threatening. "Do you remember me?" The little girl blinked, her eyes narrowing as she tried to place him. Then, recognition flickered across her face. You're the man from yesterday," she said quietly. "The one who helped me." Daniel smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "I didn't mean to startle you," he said. "I just wanted to check on you. Are you okay?" The little girl hesitated before shaking her head. "I'm fine," she replied, though her voice was small. "Just waiting for the bus." Daniel knelt down to her level, looking her in the eyes. "I was thinking, maybe I could help you in a different way. Would you like to have something warm to eat?" Her eyes widened, and she looked down at her feet for a moment. "I don't want to be a burden," she said, almost apologetically. Daniel shook his head. "You're not a burden. You deserve warmth, food, and comfort, just like anyone else." The little girl remained silent for a moment before she looked up at him. "What's your name?" she asked curiously. "Daniel," he replied, smiling gently. "And you, Emma?" she said softly. I'm just trying to make it through." Daniel nodded, understanding more than she realized. "Emma, I want to offer you more than just a meal," he said, his voice firm but kind. "I have a place where you can stay, and I can help you get back on your feet. You don't have to face this alone." Emma's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, she said nothing. Her heart was racing, and she wasn't sure how to respond. "Why are you helping me?" she finally asked, her voice trembling slightly. Daniel paused, looking at her with sincerity. "Because everyone deserves a chance, and I've been fortunate enough to have the resources to make a difference." Emma looked at him for a long time, unsure whether to trust him. She had been let down before by people who promised help, but something about Daniel felt different. He wasn't offering her money or anything material, he was offering her hope, a chance at something better. "Okay," she said softly, after what seemed like an eternity. "I'll go with you." Daniel's heart swelled with relief, and he offered his hand. "Let's go, Emma." As they walked toward his car, Emma couldn't help but feel a mixture of hope and fear. Could this really be the beginning of a new life? Could she trust him? Daniel, for his part, was determined to make things right. He knew this was just the beginning of something bigger, something that would change both their lives in ways they couldn't yet understand. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. After Daniel offered Emma the chance to stay at his home and offered her a new opportunity, she couldn't believe her luck. The cold streets that had been her reality for so long seemed like a distant memory as she stepped into the warmth of his car. Her mind was racing. She had always been taught to be cautious of strangers, but something about Daniel felt different. He wasn't offering her pity, he was offering her a real chance. As they drove to his house, the quiet hum of the engine was the only sound between them. Emma looked out of the window, watching the city's skyline fade into the distance. She had never seen a house like Daniel's before. When they arrived, The large gates of the estate opened, revealing a grand mansion with towering columns and lush gardens. It felt like stepping into a world she had only seen in movies. Daniel led her inside, his presence comforting, like a guide through an unfamiliar place. The house was even more magnificent than she had imagined, with marble floors, towering ceilings, and elegant furnishings. "This is where you'll be staying," Daniel said as he led her into a cozy room, decorated simply yet elegantly. Emma could hardly believe it. The bed was soft, and there was a desk with a notebook and a lamp. It was the first time in a long while that she felt safe, like she could breathe. Daniel smiled at her, sensing her awe. "You'll have everything you need here. I want you to feel at home." Emma nodded, still in shock. She had no words. She had been alone for so long, surviving on her own, and now here she was, in a stranger's house, being offered everything she had ever dreamed of but never thought she could have. As the evening went on, Daniel showed Emma the kitchen, where she prepared a simple meal for herself. It wasn't much, just some pasta and vegetables, but it felt like a feast compared to what she had been eating on the streets. "You're welcome to eat anything you want," Daniel said, standing in the doorway. "There's plenty of food in the kitchen." Emma smiled softly, grateful for the kindness. "Thank you," she said quietly. As they ate together, Emma couldn't help but notice the difference in her life now. The contrast was stark. Yesterday she was waiting at a bus stop with nothing, and today she was sitting in a luxurious home, eating a warm meal. She felt guilty, but at the same time, a small flame of hope began to light inside her. She had always been independent, but she had never imagined that someone would care enough to change her life like this. Daniel noticed her quiet demeanor and gently asked, "How are you feeling, Emma? Is everything okay?" She looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I don't know how to explain it. I feel safe. I feel like I can finally breathe." Daniel nodded, his eyes softening. "I'm glad you feel that way. You deserve to feel safe, Emma. You deserve to have a chance at something better." Emma couldn't hold back the tears any longer. She blinked quickly, trying to push them away, but they came anyway. The floodgates had opened, and all the emotions she had kept buried for so long started to spill out. Daniel stood up and walked over to her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Hey, it's okay," he said, his voice gentle. "You don't have to thank me. I'm just doing what anyone would do." But Emma knew that wasn't true. Most people wouldn't have offered her anything. They would have walked by, indifferent to her suffering. But Daniel had seen her, really seen her, and that made all the difference. She wiped her tears, smiling through them. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." The next few weeks passed in a blur. Daniel enrolled Emma in a local school to finish her education, and he helped her get the resources she needed to start over. He connected her with a job at a local community center, helping other kids who were in similar situations. Daniel watched her grow, not just in confidence, but in spirit. She was no longer the frightened girl who had been lost on the streets. She was becoming someone with a purpose, someone who had the power to change her own life. As Emma flourished in her new life, she realized something. Daniel had given her more than just a roof over her head or a meal to eat. He had given her hope, the belief that she could be more than her circumstances. She didn't need money or material things. All she needed was someone to believe in her, someone to offer her a chance, and that was exactly what Daniel had done. Asterisk, asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire. "I don't need money, I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. Over the next few weeks, Emma's life began to transform in ways she never imagined. Each morning, she woke up in the comfortable room Daniel had provided for her, and every day felt like a fresh start. She attended school, something she had put off for so long, and little by little, she felt her confidence building. Daniel supported her every step of the way, always encouraging her, offering advice, and helping her with anything she needed. He was like the father she never had, a steady presence in her life that provided her with the security and love she had been missing for so long. Emma's hard work paid off as she started excelling in her studies. She was no longer the scared, uncertain girl who had wandered the streets. She was becoming someone new, someone with hope, someone with a future. It wasn't just the education and the job at the community center that had changed her, though. It was the kindness that Daniel showed her every single day. As she worked with children at the center, helping them with their homework, offering them the same encouragement Daniel had given her, Emma started to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of purpose. She was making a difference in the lives of others. She was no longer a passive observer of life. She was actively shaping her own destiny. One afternoon, after a long day of helping the children, Emma sat with Daniel in his office. He looked at her with pride as she recounted the day's events. "You've come so far, Emma," he said. "I'm really proud of you." Emma smiled, her eyes shining. "I couldn't have done it without you, Daniel. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." Daniel's face softened, and for a moment, there was silence between them. Emma noticed the way he looked at her, and she felt a strange warmth in her chest. It wasn't just gratitude. It was something deeper, something that had been growing quietly between them. She had grown fond of him, not just for the way he had helped her, but for the way he cared for her, for the way he listened to her, encouraged her, and made her feel seen. She had never had anyone like that in her life before. Just then, Daniel spoke again, his voice more serious. "You've got a bright future ahead of you, Emma, but you've also got something else, the ability to make a real impact on the world. Don't forget that." Emma nodded, her heart full of emotion. "I won't forget, Daniel. I promise." As the days passed, Emma grew more comfortable with the idea of being a part of Daniel's world. He took her to events, introduced her to new people, and showed her the many opportunities that life had to offer. But despite all the new experiences, she still couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. There was a gap in her heart, a longing she couldn't explain. She missed her family, but more than that, she missed the sense of belonging she had never truly had. It wasn't until one evening, when Daniel invited her to join him for a family dinner, that she began to understand what that missing piece was. It was the simple act of being part of a family, of sharing a meal, of laughing and talking together. As they sat at the dinner table, Daniel's family welcomed her warmly, treating her as one of their own. She felt a sense of peace she had never known before. For the first time in her life, she felt like she truly belonged somewhere. And as Daniel's mother smiled at her across the table, Emma realized that the love she had been seeking had always been there. It was in the kindness of strangers, in the support of a man who believed in her when no one else did, and in the warmth of a family who accepted her with open arms. As the evening came to a close, Daniel walked her to the door, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. "You're part of my family now, Emma," he said quietly. Emma looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything," Daniel smiled, his eyes soft with affection. "No need to thank me. It's just the beginning, Emma. Your future is bright, and I'll be here to help you along the way." Emma's heart swelled with emotion as she stepped outside, the cool night air wrapping around her. She had come so far, and yet, she knew this was just the beginning of her journey. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. She was no longer alone. She had found a family in Daniel, and for the first time in her life, she had a place to call home. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. The weeks passed, and Emma settled into her new life with surprising ease. She had always been independent, but the stability that Daniel had given her allowed her to grow in ways she had never expected. The job at the community center was fulfilling, and she felt proud every time she helped the children there. But even as she found purpose in her work and built new relationships, there were moments when she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was too good to be true. Despite the warm welcome from Daniel and his family, Emma still held on to the belief that people like her didn't belong in this world of luxury and privilege. She had always been taught that she was destined for nothing but hardship, but Daniel refused to let her believe that. One evening, after a long day at work, Daniel took her out for a walk in the garden. The air was crisp, and the stars shone brightly overhead. They strolled in silence for a few moments before Daniel spoke. "I've been thinking a lot about your future, Emma," he said, his voice soft. "You've come so far already, but I want you to know that you're capable of so much more than you even realize." Emma looked at him, unsure of what he meant. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean that you've got the potential to change the world," he replied. "Not just through your work, but through the kindness you show others. You have a gift, Emma. You can make a real difference." Emma didn't know what to say. It felt like a weight had been lifted from her chest, but at the same time, it was overwhelming. She had never thought of herself that way before. "I don't know," she said, her voice small. "I've always just tried to survive." Daniel smiled gently. "You've survived, yes, but now it's time for you to live, truly live, and I'll be here to help you every step of the way." His words sank into her, and for the first time, Emma began to believe that she was worthy of more than just survival. She was worthy of a life full of possibility. Over the next few months, Daniel continued to encourage Emma, helping her navigate this new world of opportunities. He introduced her to more people in the community, people who believed in her and her potential. One day, Daniel took her to a charity event where she met influential figures who were impressed by her passion for helping others. Emma couldn't believe how far she had come. Not long ago, she had been alone, struggling to survive on the streets, and now she was sitting in a room full of successful, compassionate people who saw her as someone worth investing in. But even as her confidence grew, Emma couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. She had everything now, comfort, security, and a future, but her past still haunted her. She hadn't told Daniel the full story of her life, of the years she had spent fighting for survival. She hadn't told him about the family she had lost, about the desperation that had driven her to do things she wasn't proud of. One evening, after a long day at the center, Emma sat down with Daniel in the living room. The fire crackled softly in the background, and for a moment, there was a peaceful silence between them. Emma took a deep breath, trying to summon the courage to speak. "Daniel," she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly, "there's something I need to tell you." He turned to her, concern in his eyes. "What is it, Emma?" She looked down at her hands, feeling the weight of the truth pressing on her chest. "I haven't told you everything about my past," she began, her voice shaky. I was lost, Daniel. I did things I'm not proud of, just to survive." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "I don't want you to think I'm lying to you, or that I'm pretending to be someone I'm not." Daniel reached out and gently took her hand. "You don't have to be perfect, Emma. I don't expect you to be. I'm proud of who you are now. That's what matters." His words were like a balm to her troubled heart. "Thank you," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "You've given me more than I could ever repay." Daniel smiled and wiped away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "You don't need to repay me. You've already given me something priceless, your trust." The weight in Emma's chest finally began to lift. She had never imagined that she could find peace, not just with the world around her, but with herself. She still had a long way to go, but now, for the first time, she felt like she was truly living, not just surviving. She knew that, no matter what came next, Daniel would be there, helping her find her way. And with that thought, she felt ready to face the future, no longer burdened by the ghosts of her past. Asterisk, asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. As the days went by, Emma's transformation seemed almost unreal. She was no longer the girl she once was, the one who had been lost and alone, struggling to survive. Now, she was stepping into a new version of herself. She had a job that she loved, a family that cared for her, and a future that was beginning to unfold. But despite all the progress she had made, there were moments when doubt would creep in. The weight of her past still lingered in the back of her mind, a reminder of everything she had fought to overcome. Daniel had been there for her every step of the way, offering guidance, support, and, most importantly, his trust. And yet, Emma couldn't help but feel that she was somehow not deserving of all this. One afternoon, as she sat at her desk in the community center, working on a project for the children, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "I need to see you. Can we talk?" Her heart skipped a beat. What could he possibly want to talk about? She had become accustomed to their easy conversations, their quiet moments together. But something about the tone of the message felt different. She quickly replied, "Of course. Is everything okay?" The response came almost immediately. "Yes, everything is fine. Just need to speak with you about something important." She felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety as she closed her laptop and grabbed her coat. The walk to Daniel's office seemed longer than usual, her thoughts racing with 1,000 possibilities. What was this about? Was she in trouble? Did he regret helping her? When she arrived, Daniel was waiting for her outside his office, his expression unreadable. "Hey, come on in," he said softly, stepping aside to let her enter. Emma walked into the room, her nerves on edge. She had no idea what to expect. Daniel closed the door behind them and gestured for her to sit. He sat across from her, his gaze thoughtful. "Emma," he began, "I want to talk to you about something." She nodded, trying to steady her breathing. "What's going on?" "I've been thinking a lot about you lately," he said, his voice gentle. "You've made incredible progress, and I've watched you grow so much over the past few months. But I also know that it hasn't been easy for you." Emma's stomach tightened. "I know you've had a hard life, and I know you've carried a lot of pain with you, and I want to make sure you're not carrying it alone anymore. You don't have to." She looked at him, confusion clouding her mind. "What do you mean?" Daniel smiled softly, his eyes full of understanding. "I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty, Emma, but I've realized something. I've been helping you in many ways, but I haven't helped you face your past. I haven't helped you heal from it." Emma looked down at her hands, unsure how to respond. "I don't know if I can ever truly heal," she whispered. "I've been through so much. Sometimes I think I don't deserve this life. I don't deserve to be happy." Daniel leaned forward, his voice firm yet kind. "Emma, you do deserve it. You deserve everything good that's come your way. You've earned it through your strength, your resilience, and your kindness. But in order to move forward, you need to confront the pain from your past. You can't outrun it forever." Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes as Daniel's words struck a chord deep within her. She had been running from her past for so long, afraid that it would catch up with her. "I don't know if I'm strong enough," she said quietly. "I don't know if I can face it." Daniel reached across the desk and gently took her hand. "You are strong, Emma. You've already faced so much. You've survived when so many others wouldn't have. And I believe in you. You don't have to do it alone. I'm here for you, and so is everyone who cares about you." Emma squeezed his hand, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could face her past and move forward. "Thank you, Daniel," she whispered. "For everything." Daniel smiled, his eyes softening. "You don't have to thank me, Emma. I'm just doing what anyone should do for someone they care about." The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. But Emma couldn't shake the sense of clarity that Daniel's words had brought her. She had spent so many years hiding from the truth, afraid that it would destroy her. But now, she knew that facing it would be the only way to truly move forward. She had the strength, and she had the support she needed. As she left Daniel's office that evening, she took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to take the first step, and with Daniel by her side, she knew she wouldn't have to face it alone. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. The days following their conversation in Daniel's office were both challenging and transformative for Emma. She began taking the necessary steps to face her past and heal from the wounds that had long defined her. With Daniel's unwavering support, she started attending therapy, slowly uncovering the memories and emotions she had buried for so long. It wasn't easy, but she could already feel a shift inside her. The weight of her past was still there, but she was no longer carrying it alone. Each day, Emma made progress, no matter how small, and with each step forward, she grew stronger. One afternoon, as Emma walked out of the therapy session, she felt a sense of peace she had never experienced before. The past didn't control her anymore. The future felt full of possibility. As she made her way back to Daniel's house, she thought about how far she had come. She had started as a lost, scared girl on the streets, but now she was becoming someone else, someone who could stand tall, face her fears, and build a new life. When Emma arrived home, Daniel was waiting for her in the living room, his usual warmth and understanding filling the room. "How was today?" he asked, his voice calm. Emma smiled, a real smile, the kind she hadn't shown in years. "It was hard, but it felt good to talk about everything," she said, sitting down beside him. "I'm starting to feel like I'm really moving forward." Daniel nodded, his eyes full of pride. "You are. I'm so proud of you, Emma." The sincerity in his words made Emma's heart swell. She had never imagined that someone would look at her with such pride, especially someone like Daniel, who had so much to offer the world. "Thank you," she whispered, the words catching in her throat. She had so much to be thankful for, and yet, there were still times when the weight of her past threatened to pull her back into the darkness. But in these moments, with Daniel by her side, she knew she could face anything. "You're not alone anymore," Daniel said gently, sensing her unease. "You've got me, and you've got a future ahead of you. I believe in you, Emma, and I always will." For the first time in a long while, Emma allowed herself to believe in herself too. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. She had the chance to build something beautiful, something meaningful, and she was ready to embrace it. A few weeks later, Emma received an unexpected call. It was from the director of the community center, the place where she had been working with the children. "Emma," the director said on the other end, "I've been watching your progress, and I think you have something special. I'd like to offer you a full-time position. We could really use someone like you here." Emma's heart skipped a beat. A full-time position? This was more than she had ever dreamed of. "I don't know what to say," Emma stammered, overwhelmed. "I wasn't expecting this at all." The director laughed softly. "You've earned it, Emma. You've shown us your passion and your heart. We need more people like you." Emma could hardly believe it. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, the chance to make a real impact. And it was all possible because of the changes she had made in her life. The next day, Emma walked into the community center with a newfound sense of purpose. As she worked with the children, helping them with their lessons and guiding them through their struggles, she realized something. She was no longer the person who had been lost and afraid. She was someone who had found her path. Someone who could make a difference. And she wasn't just doing it for herself anymore. She was doing it for the children who needed her, just like she had once needed someone to believe in her. That evening, after a long day of work, Emma sat down with Daniel to share the good news. "They offered me the full-time position," she said, her eyes shining. "I can't believe it. This is everything I've wanted." Daniel smiled, his pride evident in his eyes. "I knew you could do it. You've come so far, Emma. I'm really proud of you." Emma smiled back, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you for everything. I couldn't have done it without you." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady and reassuring. "You did it, Emma. You always had it in you. I'm just glad I could be there to help you see it." As Emma looked at Daniel, she realized that the true gift he had given her wasn't just the chance at a new life. It was the belief that she could create that life for herself. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a person who could thrive, who could help others, and who could build a future full of hope and possibility. Asterisk, asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire, I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter. Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. Emma had come a long way since that first day she stepped into Daniel's life. Her transformation from a frightened girl trying to survive to a confident young woman making a difference in her community was nothing short of remarkable. She had found a place in the world where she could not only exist but thrive. Every day, as she worked with the children at the community center, she felt a sense of purpose that she had never experienced before. She had become more than just a survivor. She had become a source of inspiration, someone who gave hope to others, just as Daniel had given hope to her. But despite all her progress, there was still one thing Emma couldn't quite shake, a feeling that something was missing. It wasn't until one rainy afternoon when her past came crashing back that Emma realized what it was. She had just finished a long shift at the center and was heading back to Daniel's house when she ran into someone she never thought she'd see again, her old friend, Lily. Lily was the one person from her past who had always stood by her, even when things were tough. The last time they had spoken, Emma had left in search of a better life, and they had lost touch. Seeing her now, on the side of the road, brought a wave of emotions rushing back. "Emma!" Lily called out, her voice filled with surprise. "I can't believe it's really you!" Emma stopped in her tracks, her heart pounding. "Lily?" she asked, barely believing her eyes. "What are you doing here?" Lily took a step closer, a mix of excitement and concern in her eyes. "I heard about you, how you've changed your life. I had to see it for myself. You look amazing." Emma smiled, but a sense of unease settled in her chest. She hadn't seen Lily in so long, and she wasn't sure what to say. "It's been a long time," Emma said, her voice soft. I've been doing well. I'm living with a friend now, working at a community center." Lily's expression shifted, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "I always knew you'd make it. But, Emma, I'm so sorry. I've been struggling. I don't know who else to turn to." Emma's heart sank. She could see the same pain in Lily's eyes that she had once felt: loss, confusion, and the weight of trying to survive in a world that seemed to have forgotten them. "What happened?" Emma asked gently. Lily hesitated, her voice trembling. "I lost my job a few months ago, and things just spiraled. I ended up in a really bad place, Emma. I'm not doing well. I don't know where to go." Emma felt a pang of guilt in her chest. She had come so far, but now she realized that not everyone had the same opportunity she had been given. She had found a way out of her struggles, but Lily was still trapped in her own. "I'm sorry," Emma said softly, placing a hand on Lily's arm. "I wish I could help. I really do." Lily shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't want to be a burden. I need a place to stay for a while. I don't have anywhere else to go." Emma hesitated, her thoughts racing. She knew that offering help could complicate things. But she couldn't turn her back on Lily. She had been there for Emma when she had nothing, and now it was her turn to give back. "I can talk to Daniel," Emma said finally. "Maybe he can help. I'm sure he'll understand." Lily's eyes widened, and she shook her head. "I don't want to impose. I know things are good for you now, and I don't want to ruin that." Emma placed both hands on her friend's shoulders. "You're not imposing. You're my friend, Lily. And if there's anyone who can help, it's Daniel." She could see the relief in Lily's eyes as she nodded. "Okay," Lily whispered, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Emma. I don't know what to say." Emma smiled, squeezing her friend's shoulders. "You don't have to say anything. Let's go talk to Daniel." When they arrived at Daniel's house, Emma felt a little nervous, but she knew this was the right thing to do. Daniel had always been kind and generous, and she trusted him completely. When Daniel opened the door and saw Lily standing beside Emma, his expression softened. "Is everything okay?" he asked, his concern evident. Emma took a deep breath. This is Lily, my friend from before. She's been going through a tough time, and I want to help her. Can she stay with us for a little while? Daniel's eyes flickered with understanding, and he nodded without hesitation. Of course, Emma. We'll do whatever we can to help. Lily looked at Daniel in disbelief. Thank you, she said quietly, her voice trembling. I don't know how to thank you enough. Daniel smiled warmly. You don't need to thank me. We take care of each other here. As Emma watched the exchange, she realized something important. Her life wasn't just about her own growth and success. It was about using what she had gained to help others, just as Daniel had helped her. And in that moment, Emma knew that her journey was far from over. She had found her purpose, and it was to lift others up, just as she had been lifted. Together, they would all find a way forward. With Daniel's support, Emma, and now Lily, had a chance to rebuild their lives one step at a time. Asterisk, asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire. I don't need money, I just need a hug like your daughter. Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. As the weeks went by, things seemed to settle into a comfortable rhythm for Emma, Daniel, and Lily. Emma's confidence continued to grow, and with Daniel's encouragement, she took on even more responsibilities at the community center, becoming a true leader for the children there. Lily, who had once been hesitant and overwhelmed, began to find her own footing. She helped Emma with small tasks around the house, and even took up a part-time job at a local cafe. They were both healing in their own ways, thanks to the unwavering support from Daniel, who had become more than just a friend to Emma. He had become her rock, her guiding light. However, just as everything seemed to be falling into place, a storm began to brew, one that would test their bonds and force Emma to confront challenges she had never anticipated. It all started when Emma received a phone call from her old life. Her mother, who she had lost touch with years ago, had been found in a hospital after an accident. The news hit her like a bolt of lightning. She hadn't heard from her mother in so long, and the thought of what might have happened, of what she might have missed, filled her with a mix of dread and uncertainty. She sat down on the couch, the phone still in her hand, staring at the walls of the living room as her mind raced. Daniel, who had been in the kitchen, walked over and sat beside her. "What's going on?" he asked gently, sensing the tension in her. Emma looked at him, her eyes filled with confusion and fear. "It's my mom," she said, her voice shaky. "She's been in an accident. I don't know what to do." Daniel placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to figure this out alone. Whatever you need, I'm here for you." Emma nodded, her throat tight. She hadn't seen her mother in years, and their relationship had been strained. The pain of abandonment and the years of unanswered questions had left deep scars. But now, with everything that had happened, she couldn't ignore the pull to go and see her. The decision weighed heavily on her, but Emma knew she couldn't leave things unresolved. "I have to go, Daniel," she said quietly, her voice firm, despite the turmoil inside. "I need to see her. I need to know what happened." Daniel looked at her with understanding. "I know," he said softly, "and I'll be here when you get back. Just promise me you'll be careful." Emma smiled weakly, grateful for his unwavering support. "I promise." The next morning, Emma packed a small bag and drove to the hospital, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure what she would find when she got there, but she knew she had to face it. The ride there felt like an eternity. Her mind kept replaying the moments of her childhood, the times she had longed for her mother's love and attention, the hurt that had never fully healed. As she walked into the hospital, Emma was greeted by the cold, sterile air of the emergency room. She was led to her mother's room, where she found her lying unconscious in a hospital bed. Her once strong and independent mother now seemed fragile, her body hooked up to machines that beeped rhythmically. Emma's heart clenched. She wasn't sure how to feel. Anger, sadness, fear, they all mixed together inside her. She had spent so many years resenting her mother for abandoning her, for not being there when she needed her most. But now, looking at her in this state, Emma felt a deep, overwhelming sadness. She sat beside the bed, taking her mother's hand in her own. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm here. I've missed you. I don't know how to forgive you, but I want to. I just don't know how." She sat there for hours, not knowing what would happen next, unsure of what kind of relationship they could rebuild. When her mother finally woke up, she looked at Emma with confusion and pain in her eyes. "Emma?" she whispered hoarsely, her voice barely audible. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Emma squeezed her hand, the tears falling freely now. "It's okay, Mom," she said, her voice breaking. "I don't know what happens next, but we'll figure it out, together." The road ahead would be long, and Emma knew that forgiveness wasn't something that would come easily. But as she sat beside her mother, she realized that she had already begun the healing process, and maybe, just maybe, her mother could, too. Emma spent the next few days with her mother, offering support and slowly beginning to rebuild the relationship that had been lost for so many years. When she returned home to Daniel, she felt both exhausted and relieved. She had faced one of her biggest fears and had come out the other side. Daniel welcomed her with open arms, and as she walked into his embrace, she realized that she wasn't alone anymore. She had a family now, and for the first time in her life, she felt like she truly belonged. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money, I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. After a few weeks of deep reflection and countless conversations with her mother, Emma found herself standing at the crossroads of her past and her future. She had given her mother the space to heal, and in return, Emma had begun to heal herself. The relationship was still fragile, but Emma felt a spark of hope that she hadn't felt in years. Still, she was faced with a difficult decision. The community center where she had been working had offered her a new opportunity, a chance to lead a new project that would bring in more resources for the children. It was a dream opportunity, one that could elevate her career and give her a chance to do even more for the community that had helped her turn her life around. Yet, as Emma looked at the invitation, she couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to make a choice that wasn't solely about her career. She had grown close to Daniel, and though they had not spoken about it directly, there was a growing bond between them, something deeper than just friendship. And then there was her mother, who was still fragile, still in the process of rebuilding her life after the accident. Emma knew that if she accepted the new role, it would mean more time away from home, from the people she had come to love and care for. One evening, after a long day at the community center, Emma returned home to find Daniel sitting on the porch, waiting for her. The rain had stopped, and the air was fresh, carrying the scent of earth and grass. He smiled when he saw her, but there was something in his expression that told her he had been waiting for something. "You're home late," he said softly, standing up to greet her. "How was your day?" Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision that had been looming over her for days. She hadn't spoken to Daniel about the new opportunity yet, but she knew it was time. "It was good," she replied, her voice steady but thoughtful. "I've been offered a new role at the center, one where I can help expand the programs and bring in more resources. It's everything I've dreamed of." Daniel nodded, his face showing both pride and concern. "That's incredible, Emma. You've worked so hard for it." "I know," she said, her voice softening. "But I'm torn. The project could help so many children, but it would also take me away from everything I've built here. From you, from my mom. I've been thinking a lot about what matters most." Daniel took a step closer, his presence grounding her. "You're always thinking of others, Emma. It's one of the things I admire about you. But you also need to think about yourself. What do you want? What's going to make you happy?" Emma met his gaze, her heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. She had spent so long fighting for survival that she had never really thought about her own happiness beyond what was necessary to get by. But now, with everything that had changed, with everything she had built, it felt like it was time to think bigger. "I don't know," she said quietly. "I want to help. I want to do everything I can for the community, but I don't want to lose what I've found here, with you and with my mom." Daniel smiled softly, his eyes filled with understanding. "You don't have to choose between the two, Emma. You've already built a life here, and you've made a difference. But you deserve to chase your dreams, too. You've earned it." Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders as she listened to him. She had always been afraid that wanting more would mean losing what she already had. But Daniel's words made her realize that it wasn't about choosing between one or the other. It was about finding a way to have both the career, the community, and the family she had created. "I've been afraid," Emma admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "Afraid of losing myself in all of this. But I think I'm ready to take the next step, to believe that I can have everything I've worked for without sacrificing what matters." Daniel stepped forward, taking her hand in his. "Then go for it, Emma. Whatever you decide, I'll be right here, supporting you." The sincerity in his words made her heart swell with emotion. She had come so far, and now, for the first time in her life, she felt like she could finally reach for everything she had ever wanted. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with gratitude. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You don't have to do it alone," Daniel replied, his hand still holding hers. "You never will." As the evening drew to a close, Emma made her decision. She would accept the new role at the community center, but she would also make sure to stay connected to the people who mattered most, Daniel and her mother. She realized that she didn't have to choose between her dreams and her loved ones. She could have both, and she could continue to build the life she had always dreamed of, one step at a time. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. The months following Emma's decision to embrace both her career and her family were filled with growth and new challenges. She thrived in her role at the community center, making a real impact on the children she worked with, and her confidence blossomed even more. But it wasn't just her professional life that flourished. Her relationship with her mother began to grow stronger, too. The time they spent together, slowly rebuilding their bond, was invaluable. Emma had learned that healing took time, and her mother's journey to regain her independence was just as important as Emma's own. They found a new rhythm, one filled with honest conversations, shared moments of vulnerability, and mutual support. The next step in Emma's journey came unexpectedly. One evening, after a long day at the center, she received a phone call from the hospital. It was her mother. "Emma, I need to talk to you," her mother said, her voice shaky. Emma felt a rush of concern. "What's wrong, Mom? Are you okay?" "I'm fine," her mother reassured her. "But there's something I need to tell you. I've been keeping something from you, and I can't hold it in anymore." Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she wondered what her mother could be referring to. "What is it, Mom?" she asked, trying to stay calm. There was a long pause before her mother spoke again. "I've been struggling with something for a long time," she said, her voice filled with regret. "I never wanted to burden you with it, but now I think it's time you knew the truth." Emma listened, her mind racing with questions. She had come to terms with so much already, but the unknown was always the hardest part. "What is it, Mom?" Emma asked again, her voice trembling. "I was involved in a car accident many years ago," her mother explained, her voice cracking with emotion. "It wasn't just any accident, it was the reason I left you. I was afraid, Emma. I didn't know how to be the mother you needed, and I thought that by leaving, I was protecting you." Emma felt a wave of shock wash over her. She had never imagined the truth would be something so unexpected. "You left me because of a car accident?" she asked, struggling to process the revelation. "I didn't know how to handle the guilt," her mother continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I blamed myself for everything that went wrong, and I thought it would be better for you if I wasn't around. But I was wrong, Emma. I made a terrible mistake. And I'm so sorry." Emma's mind raced, trying to grasp the full weight of her mother's words. She had spent years wondering why her mother had left, why she had been abandoned at such a young age. But now, she understood that it was never about her. It was about her mother's own pain and fear. "Mom," Emma started, but her voice faltered as emotion built up inside her. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything, sweetheart," her mother said softly. "I just wanted you to know the truth, and I want you to know that I'm here now. I want to be a part of your life again, if you'll let me." Emma sat down on the couch, her head spinning. The emotional weight of the conversation was overwhelming, but there was a part of her that felt a sense of relief. Her mother's admission had opened a door, and for the first time, Emma saw a glimmer of the possibility for healing between them. "I need time to process all of this," Emma said softly, her voice shaky but determined. "But I'm glad you told me. I'm glad you're here now." Her mother's voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Emma. I know it's not easy, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Over the next few weeks, Emma and her mother took small steps toward rebuilding their relationship. There were moments of awkwardness. Of course, years of silence couldn't just be erased with a few conversations. But the willingness to try, to be open and honest, allowed them to slowly move past the hurt and toward something new. Meanwhile, Emma's work at the community center continued to flourish. She was gaining the respect of her colleagues and the admiration of the children she worked with. Every day, she felt more confident in her role, knowing that her work was making a difference. She was no longer just surviving, she was living, truly living, and making an impact on the lives of others. Her bond with Daniel also deepened. He had been her rock through every challenge, and as their friendship grew, Emma began to realize just how much he meant to her. They had shared so much laughter, tears, and quiet moments of understanding. It wasn't long before Emma could no longer deny the feelings she had for him. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, the sun setting in the background, Emma turned to Daniel with a soft smile. "I don't think I've ever really thanked you," she said, her voice full of warmth, "for everything you've done for me, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Daniel smiled, his eyes filled with affection. "You don't have to thank me, Emma," he said gently. "I'm just glad I could be here for you, and I'll always be here, no matter what." In that moment, Emma realized that with Daniel by her side, and with her mother beginning to heal, she was truly ready for whatever came next. She had found her strength, her purpose, and her place in the world. And she knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage and determination, surrounded by the love and support of the people who mattered most. Asterisk, asterisk, the little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money, I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. As Emma sat in her mother's living room, reflecting on everything that had happened in the past few months, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for how far she had come. The relationships she had once thought were beyond repair, her bond with her mother, her trust in herself had slowly begun to heal. And with it, Emma had come to understand that healing wasn't just about erasing pain. It was about learning to live with it and growing from it. Daniel had been by her side through it all, offering love, patience, and unwavering support. He had become more than just a friend. He had become someone she relied on, someone who had helped her become the person she was now. Their connection was undeniable, and for the first time in her life, Emma felt secure enough to let her guard down and embrace the love that had always been right in front of her. One evening, after a long day of work, Emma and Daniel sat together on the porch, watching the stars twinkle above them. The air was warm and peaceful, and the quiet of the night seemed to match the calm in her heart. She leaned back in her chair, looking over at him. "Daniel," she began softly, "I've been thinking about everything. about how far we've both come, and about how much you've done for me. I don't think I could ever express how grateful I am for you." Daniel turned to her, his expression serious but kind. "You don't have to thank me, Emma. I've always believed in you. You've done the hard work. You've taken the steps to change your life, and that's what matters. I'm just glad I could be a part of it." Emma smiled, feeling a sense of warmth spread through her. "I don't know if I would have ever had the courage to change things if it wasn't for you. You showed me what it meant to trust again." Daniel's eyes softened. "You've always had that courage, Emma. You just needed to believe in yourself." She took a deep breath, her gaze drifting to the horizon. "There's still a part of me that's afraid," she admitted, her voice quiet. "I've come so far, but there's still so much I'm not sure of. What if I fail? What if I lose everything I've worked for?" Daniel reached over, gently taking her hand in his. "You won't lose anything, Emma. You've already built something incredible, and no matter what happens, I'll be here for you. You're not alone." His words reassured her in a way that nothing else could. Emma realized, in that moment, that she had spent so much of her life fearing failure and loss that she had forgotten to embrace the present. She had already faced so many obstacles and had come out stronger each time. She wasn't the same person who had struggled to survive on the streets. She was someone capable of creating a future, her future. As they sat there, Daniel's hand still holding hers, Emma knew that she had a decision to make. It was time for her to take that final step toward truly living her life, not just existing in the safety she had built. She had a family, a career, and a chance to make a difference in the world. And now, she had loved the kind of love that made her feel whole, not just patched together. "I'm ready," she said, her voice filled with resolve. "I'm ready to move forward, to really live, and not be afraid of what comes next." Daniel squeezed her hand, his smile warm and encouraging. "I knew you were ready, Emma. You've been ready all along." The next few weeks were filled with new beginnings for Emma. She dove into her work at the community center with renewed energy, taking on leadership roles and pushing for new programs to help the children who needed it most. She continued to build the life she had always dreamed of. But now, it wasn't just about survival. It was about living fully, with purpose, and with love. As her relationship with Daniel deepened, Emma felt more at peace with herself and with her past. She had learned to forgive her mother, and they were slowly rebuilding their relationship, step by step. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and for Emma, that was enough. One afternoon, as she walked into Daniel's office to discuss some new ideas for the community center, she stopped in her tracks. There, on his desk, was a small, velvet box. Her heart skipped a beat. Daniel looked up from his papers, a smile playing on his lips. "I was wondering when you'd notice," he said softly. Emma walked over to the desk, her breath catching in her throat. She opened the box, revealing a delicate silver ring with a small sapphire stone. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice filled with surprise and emotion. "What is this?" He stood up and took her hand, his eyes filled with love. "Emma, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I know we've both been through a lot, but I believe in us. I believe in you. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Emma's eyes as she looked at the man who had been her strength, her confidant, and now, the person she wanted to spend her future with. "Yes," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." In that moment, everything came full circle for Emma. She had faced her past, built her future, and found the love she had always longed for. And now, she was ready to step into the next chapter of her life, knowing that with Daniel by her side, anything was possible. Asterisk, asterisk. The little girl said to the millionaire, "I don't need money. I just need a hug like your daughter." Asterisk, asterisk. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with today's story. As Emma stood in front of the mirror, dressed in her wedding gown, she couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come. It felt like a dream. From the frightened, uncertain girl she once was to the confident woman standing here today, everything in her life had changed. And yet, in this moment, she was reminded of the most important truth. This change was only possible because she had allowed herself to believe in the possibility of a better life. She had learned to heal, to forgive, and to love, not just the people around her, but herself. The journey had been difficult, filled with pain and moments of doubt, but it had also been filled with joy and love. And for the first time in her life, Emma knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Daniel stood beside her, holding her hand as they exchanged vows. His words, simple yet full of meaning, echoed in her heart. "I promise to stand by you, through all the challenges life brings. I promise to love you, not just for the woman you've become, but for the woman you are becoming every day. You are my heart, Emma, and with you, I am home." Emma's heart swelled with emotion as she looked into his eyes. The man who had given her the strength to face her past, the courage to embrace her future, and the love she had longed for all her life. "I promise to stand by you, to be your partner in everything, to share in your joys and your sorrows, and to always, always believe in us. You are the greatest gift I've ever received, Daniel. I love you." The ceremony was small, but the love that filled the room was enormous. It wasn't about the extravagance or the celebration, it was about the commitment they had made to each other. The bond that had been forged through years of shared experiences, growth, and healing. As they shared their first kiss as a married couple, Emma knew that this moment was just the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The road ahead would not always be easy, but with Daniel by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came their way. They left the ceremony hand in hand, greeted by the cheers and love of their friends and family. Emma looked around at the people who had supported her along the way, the people who had stood by her when she was at her lowest, and the ones who had helped her rise. She knew that she had not walked this path alone. It was the love and support of others that had made her transformation possible. As they drove away from the wedding, Emma and Daniel shared a quiet moment in the car. "I can't believe this is real," Emma said softly, her voice filled with wonder. "We're really here, together." Daniel smiled, his hand resting on hers. "It's real, Emma, and it's just the beginning." Emma leaned back in her seat, her heart full of peace. She had found her home, not in a place, but in the people she loved and who loved her in return. She had found her purpose, her strength, and her happiness. It was all here, in this moment, and for the first time in her life, Emma felt truly content. As the car drove down the road, Emma looked out the window, her eyes scanning the world around her. It wasn't perfect, but it was her world now, and that was enough. She had learned that it wasn't about finding a perfect life, it was about finding peace in the life you create for yourself, surrounded by the people who care for you. The future stretched out before them, wide and full of possibilities, and Emma knew that no matter what came next, she was ready to face it. She was no longer just a survivor. She was a woman with a future she had built with her own hands, with love and perseverance. And with Daniel by her side, there was nothing they couldn't face together. As they drove off into the night, Emma smiled to herself. The little girl who once only dreamed of a better life had become a woman who was living her dreams. And she knew that this was only the beginning of their journey together. In this touching story of transformation and love, a young girl's life takes a dramatic turn as she overcomes hardships, finds support from a millionaire, and learns to heal from her past. With the help of her new mentor, a successful millionaire, she not only rebuilds her life but also discovers love, friendship, and a deep sense of purpose. These millionaire stories show how kindness and support can change the course of someone's life, especially when they least expect it. As she embarks on this incredible journey of growth, Emma faces challenges, learns to forgive, and ultimately becomes the person she always hoped she could be. Her story is one of resilience, of overcoming obstacles, and finding love where she least expected it. From starting out as a lost girl on the streets to becoming a successful woman with a bright future, this is a tale of hope and inspiration. The story illustrates that no matter where you come from, with the right support, anything is possible. Like so many inspiring millionaire stories, Emma's journey reminds us that true wealth isn't just about money, but about the connections we make, the love we give, and the dreams we chase. This story of triumph will remind you that even in the darkest moments, there is always a light, and sometimes it's the kindness of a stranger that changes everything. The love and guidance Emma receives from the millionaire who believes in her shows the power of compassion and proves that millionaire stories are not just about financial success but about changing lives and making a lasting impact.